two little groups of people here. So each group gets a microphone.
Each group gets a microphone. Y'all get this one.
Okay. Yeah, we have these on mute for when you guys want to talk.
It records, recording, and then all of our students that are on Zoom right now watching from home, they can hear. If you just speak like this, nobody can pick us up. They can't hear.
All right. Well, I'm excited. Like Carl said, I've been doing this for a while. I'm 9 years in, getting my license. Probably pretty close to the day. 9 years. I got hired to the Red Sign team. So if you guys know Johnny or Clay, I was their first successful hire. They hired like 4 or 5 people before me that all quit. And then they hired me and they thought they were hiring like a transaction coordinator. And I thought I was the COO of the team. And so I just became the COO of the team and they had to deal with it. When I got going, Johnny and Clay said, we're really good at selling real estate. We're not very organized with a lot of the things that we have. And we are really good at bringing in business such that we are doing nothing to bring in business right now. And they closed 60 transactions before I joined the team. And then when I joined the team, they're like, we want you to do some marketing and some things to bring us more business. And we ended up closing 115 the next year. Most of those were Clay. So if you guys know Clay, he closed like 100 transactions with just me and him. And so it's possible to go crazy. I also was drowning, but I didn't know that it was not common for one transaction coordinator to do all of the marketing, all of the transactions, and close more than 100. That's usually 2 or 3 people. And so I didn't know. And so they just pushed me to go crazy and I did it. So, but today we're going to talk about my favorite thing, the database. This is the most important thing. I was talking to Cade before this that they should kind of teach real estate and how to do that in class, like the real estate classes. This is what they should teach because this is a game changer. And Gary Keller says this is what he does with every single business that he either owns or advises. He talks about the database, even musicians. So most important thing. Wait, so we're on number 4. What have you guys already done? Lead gen. Like the intro, yeah. Okay, well, forget all of that. This is the one. This is the one that you need to pay attention to because this is how you actually make money. Even I often teach towards the end, there's a financial one. I teach that a lot because I'm a nerd about financials. And in that I say, okay, the most important thing about my class to remember is go build your database and talk to them because that's the only way you're going to make money. And then you can forget everything about my class until you start making money. So today we're going to talk about lead generation for buyers and sellers, right? It's all about growing the business. So we don't even care about running their business yet. We need to build the business first. So let's talk real quick about a database. What is a database? I like participation, by the way. If you can't tell, I ask a lot of questions. What is it? You can cheat and use this if you want to, or come up with your own. What's a database?
It's a resource that has all of your contact and client information.
Yep. Just all of it just dumped in one spot, right? The more information, the better. Google, Facebook. Let's talk about Facebook, right? You know, Facebook tracks you and they have all of this information on you. Do you know where they store that? In a database. It is literally a database, but they're probably more like a coder's type idea of a database, you know, all of that kind of stuff. But so it is a combination of all of your business relationships. It helps you nurture and manage things, produces a predictable flow of business, and improves and strengthens relationships, right? And Facebook uses it to throw ads that you want. So we'll talk about a little bit about that. But so your database should be your business. Have you guys ever heard of a real estate agent selling their business? I've heard of a few agents doing it. You know what they sell? Their database, because they were just so good at nurturing it that they know when they stop working, people are going to want to buy and sell real estate with them. So they will either partner with a team or just sell it completely off for that team to take over. So it's a great way to look in the future. But why would we even have a database? Why do I say that this is the most important class? Why have a database? Let's see, how long have you guys been in real estate?
4 years.
4 years.
2 years.
2 years. He's about a week. Mariah, how long have you been in real estate?
3 months.
3 months. Okay. Have you guys been scrolling through Instagram or Facebook and seen someone that you know that has bought a house? You're like, dang it, I know them. They should have bought a house with me. Has that happened to you yet? Happens
Yes.
all the time. Get ready for it. I always told myself that no matter what, if my friends bought or sold without me, I would still be their friends unless they were jerks about it, and then I could stop being their friends. So I've only stopped being friends with one person, well, a couple, because of it. So the purpose of your database is to know what's going on. Organize your life. What makes it valuable? That you're organized. Yeah. Do you think like Facebook thinks that their database of knowledge on the people is valuable? Do you think that's what makes them more valuable than like the MySpace? Is MySpace still even a company? Younger people might not even know.
That's what makes Facebook a company, is that they have the database.
Uh-huh.
If they didn't have that, they wouldn't have anything to buy or sell.
Yeah, an advertiser would never get on Facebook because they would have no information. They would have no way to market to these people. It would just be the same as a billboard. Hopefully someone clicks on this, but they're actually valuable because of the data that they have. So what other industries use databases? Not Facebook, because I've already used that example like 5 times. What else? Everyone. Amazon. Who gets the ads from Target in the mail? Do you know that those are different for every single person?
No, didn't know that.
Yeah, they print different coupons for different people to go to Target.
I get the Smith ads.
Smith ads. Oh, Smith does that. Uh-huh. Yep. That's why you have like that loyalty number that they give you. They're like, oh, we'll give you 1% off or something. And you're like, it's just giving you my phone number. I'm okay with that. Well, that is a database. They know everything that you're buying, and they will use that to help predict what you should be buying or what will bring you back to the store. Crazy, right? So let's talk about targeted marketing. I mean, that's a great example, right? Smith's is targeting you because you have bought certain things, so they know you like to buy produce. So let's give you, there's a sale on grapes, come buy grapes, kind of a thing. Oreos, that's the one that gets you. Yeah. So they can target right to you. Can we target people in real estate? How could we target our database?
Well, you have to have it organized so that you know what particular thing you want to target that client for.
Yeah, have it organized.
It is sold something in your neighborhood.
Yeah. Area, when they bought, when they sold, if they're buyer, if they're seller, just have that organized so you can target them for specific things. So, okay, here's my little thing. Colleen probably remembers this because I remember doing it to her when she first did this. So think of a chip brand, okay? Just a brand of chips. Everyone have it in their mind? Okay, great. Who chose Lay's? How'd I do? Ooh, I'm one short.
Pringles.
Oh, Doritos, my other ones. Mariah, how'd you do? Lay's, Doritos?
Lay's.
Look at that. I got it on my first try. The other one is some people think of Cheetos and then change it and think that's not a chip. That's a, but what's a Cheeto? It's most like a chip, but sometimes people think of that. Yeah, it's a puff. Yeah. Anyway, how can I do that? How did I guess all but one? This is a slideshow. I didn't even do any magic here. Lay's. Do you know that they own Doritos and Cheetos? I don't think they own Pringles though. Yeah. Yeah. See, I said Lay's when this first happened to me. I don't like Lay's. Like if I'm at a barbecue in the summer and they have like Lay's in the yellow bag that has like 0 flavor, I won't even get chips. I'm like, no, I just don't even need it. I'll just go just with the burger and the watermelon. Now you throw Doritos, I'm all in for that. So, but I said Lay's, and it's because it was so top of mind for me for some reason that I choose. So that is our ultimate goal as real estate agents. We want to be the Lay's of real estate. That's the goal. So when someone thinks real estate, I want them to think Cameron Wilson. And then I don't care if I have a great relationship or a poor relationship with them. If they can think of me before anyone else, I will do more business. Do you know what percentage of sellers choose the very first agent they meet with? 75% of people. If you can be the first person to talk to a seller, like sit down in an appointment with them, you have a 75% chance of taking that listing. And that's not even talking about like being good or bad at it. 75%. It's ridiculous. So be Lay's. So here's we have 3 levels of a millionaire database, right? Playing off the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book. So the essential part, you need their name, their contact info, past business and past contact record, and at-will communication. Basically, all of this is probably found in your phone. I don't know, you might not have businesses in your phone. I'm a weirdo like that. I don't have them in my phone, but that's like something that my mind remembers. Like I just saw someone last week that I played on a soccer team with 2 years ago, and I remembered that he was in life insurance. We probably talked about it one time 5 years ago. I'm like, oh yeah, you're in life insurance, right? He's like, how do you know this? Because one time it might benefit me. And so I remember that kind of stuff. This at-will communication, I think they more put that in there to cover their butts, right? Should you call people that are on the do not call list? No, unless they're your really good friends and they're okay with you calling them. That's probably that at-will thing. So to be more effective, obtain permission. I mean, you could call and email people, but if you say, hey, I'm going to call you or I'm going to email you every once in a while, this helpful information, you cool with that? People always say yes. And boom, you got it. Personal info, insights, preferences, segments and group, purposeful, consistent communication. And then exceptional would make it automated a little bit more. So we'll talk about some of this stuff. Diving a little bit deeper. So let me draw a picture for you guys. What happens in real estate? So I'm a visual person. Hope you guys are okay with this. So here's my little chart. We got time on the bottom, and then the likelihood you are to buy a house. It's my house. So you probably start out and you're not likely to buy a house when you're like 18 or whatever, right? Or you just graduate college, you're probably not likely. But then that's going to go up and you're very likely to buy a house. And you hit this point where you actually buy a house. What happens after you buy a house? How likely are you to buy a second house? Yeah, you're probably going to drop off if you're like normal people, right? But then what happens? You kind of get interested again, and you have this like little wave of the future. Do you know where real estate agents try to live? Normal real estate agents, not great ones. They live in this little area, right? As soon as you start getting interested, that's when they start talking to you all the time, right? Think back in your past lives. If you've ever went to go buy a car from someone you know, or even bought a house from someone in the past. And as soon as you're like, hey, yeah, I need to use your service. If I were to talk to the life insurance guy that I just mentioned, and I was like, hey, I'm thinking about life insurance. He's going to become my best friend because I am towards that point where I'm going to buy. So we're going to be friends in that. Then what happens after that? Falls off. I don't need that anymore. He's probably not going to talk to me. Same thing's going to happen in this next little part. We're going to be friends when we're buying a house. What do you think happens between these two gaps of real estate agents talking? How many real estate agents do you guys know? Lots? Did you know lots before? If I were to go through my contacts and think like, who do I know before real estate that is actually a real estate agent? I think I could get 4 or 5 people that are my friends that I could have bought or sold homes with. Not to mention like how easy it is to find agents online, how much ads are out there. Like it is just crazy. And so in this gap, you can just switch agents all the time. So the today trap is a lot of people are just looking right now. Is this on a slide? I can't remember. So a lot of people are looking just for today business. They're living in this little top of the curve where they find people that are just willing to buy houses right now. Then they stop talking to them and they don't worry about tomorrow's business. Do you know the average person, how long they live in a house? 7 years. How hard is it to talk to someone for 7 years? No one's even been in the business for 7 years here, except for me. So statistically, I should have a friend that bought when I first got my license and then just sold and bought again. I should only have 2. I have a friend that have bought 4 houses since I have been in real estate. Because it was like a smaller house and then a little move up and a move up. And now he's like he did this weird thing where he bought a forever house and then he downsized to pay his house off. I'm pretty sure in 3 years, he's going to buy a new house again. That's kind of how his habits have been going. And so if I were to think, oh, I need to be friends with him in 7 years from now again, he would have bought like 3 houses before I was talking to him again. So the tomorrow business is building over this. We are going to talk to people constantly, no matter where they are in the time, because there's a whole nother principle that this doesn't talk about, which is all of these people have friends that are looking to buy or sell real estate too. Okay, so let's talk about a database. So here's an example database, 100 people. So statistically, 35 of them are renters forever. 65% of the US owns houses. So unless you're weird and have a bunch of friends that only own houses or only rent and will for the rest of their lives, yours might be a little different than this. But statistically speaking, 65% will buy a house at some point. Out of those, it's about 10% will actually be buying a house this year. I don't know where they pulled that number out of, but it sounds right. Sounds great. So we're about 7 people every single year that will buy a house if you had 100 people in your database. How many of these 7 people do you think are thinking about you and that is in real estate? Live question. If I were to take, do you guys already have somewhat of a database built out, like Command and stuff like that? 100 people? Do you have at least 100? Not yet? Okay, if I were to call every person in your database and say, hey, do you know what Cade does for a living? Or if you were going to buy a house, who would you use next? What percentage do you think would say you? So if these 7 people are going to buy a house this year, are you going to be the one that gets their business? Are you the lays for them, or are they thinking of some other real estate agent? So I want you to do this quick little math in your head, right? So how many people do you have in your database? Are you 100? Are you 50? Are you 500? And then times that by 65% to figure out how many people will actually own homes. And then times that number by 10%. Do some quick math. Someone yell out a number. On the Red Sign team, we tell everyone that they have to have 200 names in their database. That's like our minimum. We call it the top 200. I hate that we call it 200 though, because some people know like 400, but they only have 200. So like minimum 200. But so if we were to take 200, right? Times by 65%. Oh no. 130. I can do this math in my head. What am I thinking? 130. So we should get 13 closings every single year right from this database. Easy, right? Gosh, bring him back in. How many of you guys have in your database? 100. Okay. Yeah. So you're probably on track to have 7 people that buy houses, statistically. Oh, those are yeah. Those youngins they're either like they're for sure not going to buy a house, or they're going to be like, yeah, let's be the weirdos that buy houses, and those are the people that are going to be your favorite clients ever, because they'll buy a house every other year for like a decade. They're the best. So this becomes a math problem, right? If you can just get these kind of conversions, it's how many do you want to close, and then how big can you get your database? But we're going to get better than this because of referrals as well. So let's talk about return on investment. Oh wait, here, I'll go back for you. Yeah.
You're a friend of mine who's 90 years old today, so they called so I could talk to them.
Okay, so recap. 100 people, about 65% of them will own houses statistically, and about 10% of those people will buy a house every year. So if you have 200 people in your database, which is kind of the goal of this Ignite. Do they call this Ignite? Sparks? What are they calling this? Ignite. I was going to say it used to be called Ignite, and now they have like Sparks. Yeah, I don't know. I get confused. So Ignite, I'm glad they're still calling it the same thing. So the Ignite goal is to have 200 people in your database, which would mean that 130 of them own houses, which means you should close 13 of them this year, or potentially have 13. But if they're sellers, that's actually a whole nother transaction, right? If they're going to buy and sell a house, those are 2 transactions. So it wouldn't be weird to have 20 to 30 closings from a database of 200. So in terms of return on investment, let's talk about this real quick. So they say that you should have a 10 to 1 or 14 to 1 return. So for every dollar you spend on your sphere of influence, they say you should make $10 to $14. Our average commission right now is about 10 grand total. And so you guys are all on the Transcend team, right? Or you're your own team. Okay, you're going to be a little different. The Transcend team's on a 50-50 split. And that covers cap and everything. So if you have a 10 to 1, for every dollar you spend on your database, you should expect, that doesn't work. I'm going too crazy with my math. Anyway, you'll get 5 grand for every closing from your database. How much do you spend right now on your database? Like since you've been in real estate, how much have you spent? Nothing. So this number that says 10 to 1, I think that's a lie. I think it should be like infinity, because you don't have to spend anything on your database. You're already paying for your phone. You know all of these people. You don't have to do anything. Yeah. So they say you should make 14, and you can get more with repeat referral business. I wanted to show this. So these are our actual numbers. I just pulled them this morning to double check them. So your database costs you nothing. If you get a 10 to 16% conversion, which is what Gary Keller says that you should get, he actually says 16 in the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book, but I've been hearing a lot more people reference a 10% return. So, right, if you have a database of 200 people, you should get 20 closings. Some of those might be repeat, some might be referrals, some might be first-time buyers, some might have a house to sell, so you're going to do a buy and a sell. Anyway, you should have 20 closings. So it ends up about 10% conversion. So you get 10 closings. If your commission's $5,000 because you're on the team, you'll get $50,000. usually the time that it takes someone that they're like, yes, I want to buy a house until they actually close is like 3 months. I mean, you're going to talk to them for years and years and years, but when they're finally like, yep, I want to buy a house, they close pretty quick, 3-ish months. Google. Last month we spent $2,500 on Google, and we've been ratcheting this down because we get about, it's crazy, it's like $40 a lead that we're spending. They say that you should be between 2 and 5% from Google leads converting. Like the very best people are converting at 5%. We're closer to a 2%. So that means that last month we should have generated the leads, and if we convert them, we should have 2 closings. But our average time from a Google lead to close is about a year. So what we did in February, we should make back February 2023. But everyone is working those leads. Yep, that's why we get conversion rate. If you have Googled real estate agent in Orem, I guarantee that you're not the only one that we have in our web, right? Because you probably went to Zillow, you probably went to Redfin, you probably went to some other random agent's website. You probably are looking at homes that pop up on Facebook, another place that we advertise. So we are now fighting with a bunch of other people, and some of those people have deep pockets. Like Zillow, billions, worth billions. What are they, like 27 billion? I don't know, I'm making up numbers now. I wanted to say 12 at first, but that sounded too low. They're worth a lot of money.
A billion's a lot.
Yeah, they're in the billions, and it's not below 10. So Facebook, kind of the same idea. These people are a little more passive, so we get worse returns. We're like a 1% return from Facebook. So if we generate 100 leads, we probably have 1 real person that will buy or sell a house with us. We spend way less money, but way more time. Yep. And so if we close one of them, we'll make $5,000. It takes about 18 months for us to close them, because they're usually at this bottom point where they're like, I'm not really thinking about houses, but for some reason we show up on their feed, and then they're like, oh, hey, yeah, maybe I'll buy a house. Like Facebook's database knows me better than I do. And so we follow them all the way up the curve, and then they start working with us. But that follow-up sucks. So we are like calling them, trying to build a relationship for like 15 months before they're like a real person that we're like, let's meet. And there's a lot of people that could pick them up in the year and a half that we're working with them. Yeah, go to an open house and get stolen away. That's a very real thing. But when your database knows you as like the Lays of real estate, and they are thinking of you, even when they walk into an open house, like, oh, I already have my agent. Yeah, it's Cameron. Don't even worry about anyone else. Why use the database? Lowest cost lead, it's 0. You have people to call, right? I guess you could door knock, but then you're talking to people you don't know and don't know you. And there's this weird barrier. So that would be the other 0. Lowest cost conversion, it's people like to work with people they already know. Easy. And it pays for itself. Okay, let's develop your database. So there's two types of ways to get business, right? There's marketing and prospecting, right? A lot of people think of prospecting. What do you think when you think of prospecting? Cold calls, door knock, just awful, grueling, awful things, right? The worst. What do you think of when you think of marketing? I'm going to post one time on Facebook, and then everyone is calling me. Yeah. This is a true story. Before I got into real estate, I sold Vivint door-to-door security systems, and my wife, we went to Chicago, or south of Chicago, it's like University of Illinois area, and she's like, I'm so bored, I'm going to get my real estate license. And this was, what were we, 2012? And I was like, that is a great idea. The housing market sucks right now. And you know what happens to a crappy housing market? It goes up. And I'm like, we're 4 years of crappiness. So we're probably on the time where it's just going to start growing. I was like, yeah, get into real estate. She would do awesome in real estate too. And I was like, just imagine this. It's like $2,000 to get in real estate. You sell one house and you've already made that. I'm pretty sure you can just post once on Facebook and you'll have a bunch of your friends ready to buy or sell with you. Just like so easy. And then you could just do it a couple hours throughout the week. Anyone that's done real estate knows that's not a real thing. I mean, maybe in 2012 it would have worked, but not in today's world. So a lot of people think of that as marketing. We are going to talk about a duplication. We're going to combine these two things and use them to our benefits. So I like to say we are prospecting based, marketing enhanced. What that means is we are going to lean into the prospecting, but not the grueling like cold calls, door knocking, unless that's what you want to do, right? There's some people, Shoni came from a door-to-door world. He has no problem going to talk to all the random strangers and door knock, but he doesn't start there because his time's better spent on his database. So prospecting based, this is what we're going to focus on. And then we're going to sprinkle in all of this marketing, because marketing is very passive. It's the thing that costs money. It's long-term results, right? And you are competing with other people. Like I just showed you, like a realistic month for us is to spend $3,000 on Google and Facebook. And we don't even care to really get a return from that because it is a lot of marketing to our database as well. So like right this second, you have $3,000 to go compete with the Red Sign team. And we are a little fish compared to everyone else, right? Can you compete with Open Door, Zillow, Redfin, these people that have crazy amounts of marketing? Probably not. So it's going to be a little more money, a little more long-term, but prospecting is the way to go, and then enhance it with marketing. So they talk about segmenting into groups, right? Getting our database organized. So you know what to say to whom, whom? Felt like whom was right there. Trying to sound fancy for all you guys. So they say some example things are like your business relationships. How do you know them? Have they done business with you? Are they active? Are they a past client? Have they referred you? Are they a VIP type person? Hobbies and interests. We did a BYU versus Utah watch party one time. And I'm like, man, I wish I would have just tagged my database, like Utah versus BYU. Because at the end of every text, I just said, go Cougs. When I invited them, I had like more people talking to me than ever before. Because they were like, yeah, go Cougs, I'm all about that. Or like, screw you, I hate the Cougars. And so just something simple like that. If you can separate people, easy thing. What kind of property they want? Are they investors? Are they a vendor? What kind of vendor? So start segmenting it. So here's our real tags that we use. So in the Millionaire Real Estate book, they talk about mets and haven't mets. It's really easy to tell the definition. Have you met them? Then they're a met. You don't even have to have a good relationship or whatever, but I have now met all of you. You could all be part of my met database. Simple as that. We have different campaigns that we run. I'll show you a couple in a minute. And so we tag it with that campaign that we're running. Past closing, like an example, buyer 2017. How much equity do you think a buyer in 2017 has right now? You just bought an average priced home then. You probably $200,000 or $300,000 worth of equity. What an easy call to make and be like, hey, I was just thinking about you the other day. I realized that you closed your house 5 years ago. You probably are looking at like $300,000 of equity without even looking up numbers. You ever wanted a better house? What do you hate about your house? Like whatever you want to do, that makes it so easy to do. Then we have status. I would call these categories. I don't know why I put it status. Hot, nurture, watch, archive. So these are like our active categories. Hot, nurture, and watch. It's like now business, real soon, maybe one day in the future, kind of an idea. And then archive are people that aren't looking for houses. Like maybe they just bought or sold and we're like, they're not going to buy or sell for a while, but we still have their information. So they're part of our database. If they're an agent, we recruit. Most of the agents on our team have come out of our database. That's how we recruit to our team, is we say, hey, you want to be a real estate agent? Great, I'll help you get into school and then you can join my team.
How many agents are on your team?
22. Yeah, so there's a fair amount of them. Then we categorize our sphere of influence, SOI. If you guys didn't know what SOI meant, sphere of influence. We categorize categorize them as A, B, and C. Here's the test. Imagine you're walking in a grocery store and down the aisle, you see someone that you know. If you go up and talk to them and actually have a conversation, they're probably an A. If you wave to them and keep walking, that's a B. If you slowly back out and go down the other aisle, that's a C. To be honest, a lot of our agents don't even use the C because they're not even putting those people in their database. But that's the test, the grocery store test. DTD2, have you guys heard about this? This is from Bold, one of the best classes that you should take. So when it comes around next, I think it will come in the fall. It's usually spring and fall, but I think we just had it. Anyway, when it comes, do it again. So DTD2 means do the database to. I guess it's the second iteration of it. I don't know what the first was, but what you do is you separate all of your contacts by letters, the last name, right? So like W and V, I don't know why that is together, S and A or whatever. So if your last name starts with an S or an A, you're supposed to call them this week. And then next week would be the W and V, and then the T and B. I don't know all the letters that group together, but you call the first letter of their last name every week, right? 26 letters in the alphabet, 13 weeks in the quarter. So if you do 2 at a time, you only have to call like 10 to 20 people a week, and you can get through your whole database in a quarter. Does that make sense? Kind of confusing way to say it. Yep. So you're talking to them every quarter, and you don't have to make crazy amounts of calls. Because if I told you today, hey, call your whole database, that kind of sounds overwhelming. But if I tell you, you only have to call 1/13 of your database this week, it's pretty easy. It's hard to find excuses why you can't call like 15 people in a week. Are they buyers or are they sellers? Are they investors? Luxury? We have like a first-time home buyer kind of a thing. Do they own a home? That's a seller. So segment them into groups. This will help you as you're talking to people, because in theory, we could send out an email to all the buyers being like, hey, it is a great time to buy. We think that the market is going to go up for the year. We have all this craziness going on, but we don't see a bubble. I don't expect home prices to go down this year. Buyers might be like, great, that sounds awesome. Sellers, you might send an email like, it is a great time to sell your house. We have like 0 homes on the market, so people are getting top dollar. But if you send that second email to the buyers, like, now's a great time for you to sell your house, you're getting top dollar. There's like nothing out on the market. It sucks for buyers. You're going to love it being a seller. You're going to scare all the buyers away. So you can kind of tailor your message there. And luxury, I mean, you don't want to send like first-time home buying tips to someone that owns like a $2 million home and looking for an investment or a second house or something. So segment it. So Command has things separated in 2 broad categories, buckets. I don't know what they even call them. You probably noticed in Command, there's leads. You can categorize a person as a lead or as a contact. So the leads, these are all the people that you don't know. Like you get a referral, someone calls on your sign. These are our not mets in our tag, because we use a different system than Command. Command hasn't scaled big enough for our big team, so we don't use them yet. So the leads, what they get is called a 19 to connect. Basically, you call them every quarter, you send them an email every month, you do some sort of mail calendar, something like that, and then some sort of event where you can invite them to see them face to face. Like, I'm real, come meet me. For example, last year we did like a water park for Keller Williams, like rented out 7 peaks. Yeah, it was crazy. It was crazy. There were way too many people. I think they're doing it over 2 days this year. So yeah, you're our VIP client. Thanks for coming and not coming in. Yep.
Did you say that you're not using Command?
Yeah, we use a system called Boomtowns or Boomtown, just singular. Yeah, it's better for the scale that we're at. So Command works really great until you get like more than 5 to 6 agents, and then you start to run into issues and you'll have to look elsewhere. But Boomtown and Command are working together to integrate. So hopefully we'll be more in Command soon, because I think it's awesome. It just doesn't work for our scale. Now the contacts gets it's called the 36 to convert. You might hear 36 touch a lot. I didn't even know it was called to convert. 36 touch. Basically, every quarter you give them a phone call, exact same. You give them twice as many emails, twice as many events, or 4 times as many events, and same amount of touch. Nope. Whoa. 2 events, 4 touches, like mail and things like that. So let's talk real quick about content for this, because I don't really mention that, but I think it's very important to know what to say. So let me tell you 2 stories. One I'm pretty sure is made up, and one really happened to me. So we'll start with the made up one because it is a good little parable, I guess. So in terms of the promotional mail, there was one time this agent that hired a company to try to figure out how to get responses. He wanted to talk to as many people on his database as possible. He wanted them to call him. And so he hired some guy and he's like, hey, send out a mailer. I don't care what you do, but I want people to call me back. And so the guy sent out the mailer. This agent happened to be like sitting in a class like this, and his phone was going crazy all day long. And he's like, oh my goodness, whatever he sent worked. So instead of calling all these people back, he called this marketer and was like, whatever you did, it worked. Like, this is the most amazing thing that I've ever seen. What did you send him? And he said, oh, it was simple. All I did was I addressed an envelope from that to them, put you in the like little return area, and then I put a blank piece of paper in the envelope and mailed it to them. And so they didn't know what they were getting. They got a blank piece of paper. They know who you are because they're in the database. They called you to figure out what you should have been sending them. And so he's like, genius. So I guess it doesn't really matter what you send as long as you're sending things out, is the moral of the story. The real one, though, that happened to me is, so I used to write all of our emails. If you were to talk to my high school English teacher, she would tell you that I should not be the one creating all of the content that goes to thousands of people. We would send it out to like 12,000 people at a time, and it was scary. Have you guys ever used MailChimp? So like when you're ready to go send it, it's like this little animated monkey arm that's like dripping with sweat, and there's like a red fire button, and as soon as you click it, it clicks down on the button. That's basically how I felt every single time. So I came up with a system so my emails would be better. I wrote an email and I sent it to an agent on my team that was great at English. And I said, proof this. He would change things. I would copy it and paste it over my old email and then send that out. Foolproof, right? Well, what happened is I sent it to him. He fixed everything. It sounded great. I copied it. I went back to the email. I did not select all. I just put it right in the middle and pasted it. So it started saying things poorly. Then it said all of it great, and then it continued poorly again. I sent that email out. Johnny called me into his office and he's like, what are you doing? Why are you sending this email out? This is the worst read thing ever. And I was like, I know. He's like, who did you have this write this? Like, it sounds like it was someone from the Philippines, the Middle East, like someone that English is not their first language and they're bad at it. I'm like, I'm sorry. I'm bad at English too. So anyway, he got all mad at me, and then I went back to my desk, and then Clay calls me and he's like, what did you do to that email? And I was like, I know, I already talked to Johnny. He's like, no. I just got a reply from it from my friend that said, sounds like a great time to sell my house. Why don't you list it this week? He didn't read it. He saw the picture or the graphic, or I don't even know what he was doing, but he thought it was great. So I guess it doesn't really matter what you say as long as you're consistent, because he listed his house without even Clay meeting with him. So it doesn't really matter, but Command has a great hack for all of this, right? So we already talked about the DTD2 real quick. That will give you 4 phone calls a quarter. So that would work with both of them. So you get a lead, you get a contact, you just say, okay, your last name starts with a T. You're going to do the T and A. That might be the one. I don't know. Put it in that group. Whenever that week comes up, you call them. And you can have your little script or talk to them about whatever you want. Next, 26 touches. So this is every other week for the entire year. There is a thing, what do they call it? Neighborhood nurture. Is that what it's called in Command? You can add them to a neighborhood, right? So if you're in Command, there's like their contact card, and right below it, there's like a little picture of a map. Click on that. You can set them up to receive an alert about their neighborhood. It goes out every other week. Boom. We did emails without writing an email. The next 2 touches, events, get-togethers, or parties. Keller Williams is 2 a year. One's called Red Bash, and we change it to Red Splash for the 7 peaks. And then we do a Keller Ween is the other one. So in October, we rent out Jakers in Springville and have everyone come. So you have 2 events hosted by Keller Williams. You just have to pay for how many people show up. Super easy. And then mail, I always like that they put this at the bottom. If you're going to skip something, skip this one. Everything else is great, but mailers, they can't unsubscribe from, right? They can unsubscribe from your email. They might live too far away to come to your parties. So mailers work great. So I tend to send out some sort of holiday card, right? Like Thanksgiving is a great time because everyone's doing Christmas cards. But if you do them like a thankful card, that's just a cool time. You're going to stand out a little bit more. But if you just lump it together with your Christmas, that's fine. Send them a birthday card, and then you only need to come up with 2 other cards for the whole time. Maybe send one on your birthday and be like, hey, it's my birthday, call me. Whatever. Send out recipes. It doesn't really matter. Again, I think content is less important than doing it. We used to send out the same exact mailers to everyone for like 3 years. We just printed a whole bunch of them, and it said, curious about what your home's worth? Call me. And we sent it in the mail. And it was funny that like 2 years into it, people would be like, hey, I just got your mailer. What's my house worth? I've sent this to you like 8 times now. Why are you calling me now? But we would never tell that. People don't remember what they got. Yeah. Yeah, people don't remember what they got 3 months ago. So it doesn't really matter. So engage with it. So that's kind of confusing. Here's kind of what all our touch plans look like. So when we get a lead, it goes into this new status. We have a new lead because we've never talked to them. Then they become this qualify because we don't know what their game plan is. We have no idea, like on this curve, where they are. Are they way at the bottom? Like, no, I'm not going to buy a house. Did they just recently buy a house or whatever? So our campaign, we call it the 4 days of love. This is just get a hold of this person. Let them know you're real and that they are a real lead. This works great with internet leads. So we'll like leave a message for them and be like, hey, Cade, this is Cameron. Will you, and just like cut off. and people will call back and be like, hey, I got your message. You cut off. What's up? I'm like, yes, you're a real person. That kind of an idea. We send a text and we'll be like, hey, is this Cade? And then we know, like, they'll respond back, yeah, who's this? Like, yep, real person, check. We can market to them a whole bunch. And then we'll also send an email that's like, hey, if you ever want to look at a list of homes that we think are great on the market, here's a link. And it's a broken link. We like didn't put the dot in the .com. So it just says redsign.com/whatever. And so it looks like a real link and you click on it and it's broken. And so then they'll email back and be like, hey, that link didn't work. Can you send me a new one? And we're like, yep, because you're a real person. So this is all, are they real? If they respond to us, or if they don't respond to us, they automatically get put on an 8x8. If they respond like, hey, I'm a real person, but they don't really talk to us very much, it's an 8x8. Every week we talk to them about something, about why we're awesome or how we can benefit them, right? They all care about themselves more than us. And so it's like our strengths. We have 22 agents. What is that? That's different than most teams. So we can say like, hey, if I'm ever not available, I actually have 21 other agents on my team that would be ready to show your house on a moment's notice. So even if I'm gone, I'm sure that you can get into a house that other people can't get into. So things like that. Or like, hey, follow me on Facebook. Some of them are dumb, but it's every week we do a call, a text, and an email, and just update it. Then it dumps into the 19 to connect. We do that for 1 year. and then it dumps automatically into the 36 touch. So that's kind of like the flow of leads that we do. So it's real similar to Keller Williams. We just added in these top two. By the way, this 8x8, that's what they used to call the 19 to connect. So we still do both of them. Easy. Build a culture of testimonials and reviews. Who bought something on Amazon last week? Okay. How many reviews did your stuff have? And did that influence you? Have you ever like clicked on something and seen that it has 50 reviews and you think, I'm not buying this? Like 50 reviews is a lot. Who wrote a review last week? You did? I always love meeting the people that write reviews. I never write reviews.
I don't like to, but once in a while, if it was something, thought the person deserved to acknowledge that.
Yeah, so if it's a really good thing or a really bad thing, I feel like those are the people that write reviews. I've noticed on Amazon a lot of the times people will be like, I'm updating my original review. So they either had a really good or a really bad experience and then they changed it and then put it somewhere in the middle. Those are all the 3-star reviews. They're like, it was awful, but then they talked to me and so they have good customer service. I guess their product sucks, but they don't. Or I thought that this was the best. A year later it broke, but they still talk to me. So I don't know. So it's the same idea with real estate. If you were going to Google and find a random real estate agent in, let's say, Phoenix or somewhere more random that you don't know anyone, how are you going to find a person? You're going to probably read what reviews they say, or you might have a few more connections. You call the Keller Williams, figure out who's good there, but you're doing calls. If you just want to find them online, you're going to deal all with reviews, testimonials and reviews. So this is a very important part of our business, is to get people to say good things about us. In our buyer packet and our listing packet, we have printed a few different reviews from actual people that we just copied and pasted from Google. Then I bolded things that I want people to see. Like, we're responsive, we go the extra mile, we got them a great deal or whatever, made more money on my house than I thought I could. Those are the kind of things that we're adding in. And so when people are flipping through our packet, they're like, oh, whoa, this is exactly what I want. It's like, I know, because that's what the research says. And so we're highlighting it. And so if you can get those from your clients, it is going to help way more than anything else that you can do. Also, if you're going to run Google ads, the best Google ads have reviews tied to them. It's called Google Local Services. But like, if you can have like 100 reviews, you're just going to crush it. So regularly update and prune your database. Does I have more about this? No. So your database is like a living creature, they say. You think about like the people that have babies, get a job, get divorced, move. Like, think how often that happens in our lives. We should be updating the database to reflect that. So you don't have like these awkward times where you call and they're like, yeah, I got married. You're like, sweet, what's your wife's name? And then you type it in and then you like see them at your event and you're like, hey friend, and you're like, hey, you, like I don't know your name because I asked once. It's weird to ask again, but I don't know you because I didn't put you in my database. And so little things like that, the more that you can put in there and the more it keeps living, then the better off you're going to be. It says prune your database. It is not talking about like having a database of 200 people and never any more or less. And you're like, well, I don't really like that person as much as I like those other two, so they're out. Like, it's not like prune out the people. It's prune all of the wrong information, right? If you send out a mailer and you get a return thing that's like, this person doesn't live here anymore, back from your mailer, that is where you're going to update it and prune it. I guess you can prune people out of your database. We have this saying on the team that we don't work with jerks. So if someone's a jerk, they get out of our database and we don't work with them. If they're weird or whatever, we keep them in the database. We just refer those out to other agents on our team. It's like, oh yeah, I don't really work in your area a whole bunch. Let me give you like the area expert. Go work with him or her. And then I don't have to work with the weirdos. Kind of an idea. So you can prune out the people, but make sure that you are always trying to improve it. By the way, is anyone not from here? Y'all from Utah? Okay. My favorite way to make money is from people that don't live in Utah or are not moving to Utah. Because those people, if they can think of you first in real estate, like the Lay's idea, then you reach out and find them an agent and you get a 25% referral fee. So this could be a crazy amount of money for people that you don't even work with. Because they knew you and contacted you first, you're going to make a bunch of money. So this happened to an agent on our team. He was from California, or a bunch of his family moved to California. In 1 month, he made $30,000 off of reviews or off of referrals out of state to California. He, the year before, made like $8,000 in real estate. So in 1 month, he made like 4 times as much money off of referrals than he did the whole year selling real estate. So it can be this huge income. So when people always ask me like, well, my database, like, it's not all in Utah. It's like, great. Just don't send them Utah specific information. Like right now, Utah is like the best state to move into, right? Our economy's great. Our outlook's great. We're growing, job growth. Everything looks great about Utah. Don't send that to people from Idaho, because Idaho also looks really great. But you can send them something about national stats in Idaho, showing that Idaho and Utah are awesome, kind of an idea. And then they'll call you and you just connect them. And then your calls with them be like, hey, just want to stay in touch. I know you live in Idaho, but like if you ever have real estate questions, call me. I have a bunch of connections up there, whether you do or not. It's real easy to just say, in Command, there's a little referral thing on the side. I don't know if you guys have ever used it, but you can see all of the agents and how much business they close in an area. So you could literally go like, all right, Boise, let's see how many teams or solo agents, and filter it down by those and send them off. Super easy. You can also see who's referring in the most business to Utah and becomes friends with those people. We have a really good friend, Mark Fox is his name. He's in Oregon and his partner lives in Washington. So they do both states. If we ever have one that goes to either of them, he's our first call and we send him up. We probably send 3 or 4 referrals to him every single year, and he does the same to us every single year, and it's great. So getting lots of business. So regularly update it. The more accurate the information, the better. Whole goal of this database is to build relationships. The stronger the relationship, the more likely you are to close deals. And that word relationship is very relative, right? A lot of my people in my database are my friends and family. So my relationship actually means like a relationship. But some people live more like, I don't know, like the dentist doctor type idea. Like most people aren't best friends with their dentist or doctor, but they go to them and they'll like them, they'll refer them, they'll be like, yeah, you got to go check out my dentist. He's awesome, kind of a thing. But you might not have a relationship with them. It's like a professional relationship. That's completely fine too. You don't have to have like a best friend, go hang out with them on the weekend type relationship if it's a professional relationship, right? I would say like Lay's is a little more professional than Doritos in terms of chips. But I don't know, their last commercial for Super Bowl ad seemed a little more Dorito-y than Lay's, but same idea, right? So have that relationship, because people want to work with people they know, like, and trust. So the better relationship that is, the better off you are. Okay, wait, what questions do you have? I feel like I went crazy talking. We'll blame Carl for giving me a rock star. Carl Spencer. Okay, well, let's talk about this. Ahas to achievements. What ahas did you have? First of all, what stood out as like an aha where you're like, oh, yes, got it.
When you said, are you from here? I was thinking about what office were you talking about?
Oh, yeah.
Both of us are from California. So
Oh, California's great.
California, and I hadn't really, and I should have because I've done this before, but I hadn't really thought about, when I'm contacting them to see, just to talk about real estate with them. And,
Yeah.
And to let them know that I have lots of contacts there.
So that when they're thinking of buying your site, they call you first.
Mm-hmm. Super easy. Yeah. And Californians love moving to Utah right now. So
Yeah, and.
good
the
idea to
others
stay in
don't
touch
know
anyway.
agents call. They just have no idea. So it would be nice to take that off their plate and
Mhm.
do research for them. Come up with somebody really good. I mean, I have a lady I use down there that I refer to.
Yeah, you already got that.
Yeah, but that's just in that one area. So the other areas, I can find somebody, sure.
Yeah.
That was a bit of a hard.
Nice and easy. What else?
I think I just need to continue building this. Get it to where it needs to be, but I think we should continue.
So let me teach you the best way to build out a database. This is not the most efficient way. So I'm a systems nerd, right? That's literally my job, is to figure out how to do everything we're doing better. And so I look into efficiency. Clay and I got in a fight last week because we were stuffing all of the eggs for our Easter egg hunt. And he was arguing to me that a conveyor type idea, like I'll grab the bottom, put a candy in, hand it to you. You take the top, click it together, put it in the bag. He said that that was the fastest. I said that was the slowest because, and I would like cite science and studies, and I don't know the real things, but like they did a study of bricklayers, and the fastest bricklayers used the fewest movements. And so I could stuff an egg just as fast as you, as long as my movements were shorter than yours. So you reaching way over for the candy. So I was like, my way is better. And he didn't believe me, and then whenever we would like fight or battle, he'd be like, okay, let's go. And they would stuff as fast as I could, and I would stuff as fast as I could. And that wasn't real, because we're not stuffing as fast as we could. It took us 3 hours. Anyway, I am all about that. And what I'm going to tell you is the complete opposite of efficiency. So you should make a phone call to every person that you put into command. Ideally, you have a conversation with them, but a lot of times you won't. But so before you put someone in command, pick up the phone and give them a phone call. It's really easy to add 5 or 10 contacts a day out of your phone or Facebook. If you don't have their phone number, just message them on Facebook. Almost as good, as people will respond to that. So make that phone call, put them in Facebook. Nope, put them in command. When they are in command, like your conversation, you should say, hey, by the way, I send out houses to everyone all the time. Where do you live? And I'll send you a list of houses like yours in the area, or I can even send you a list of houses like you'd want to move into. And I'll just do that every other week, so it's not bombarding you. And if they're like, oh no, I'd want it more often, then they're probably higher up here on this curve of wanting to buy a house. And so you can be like, well, maybe we should just meet up and find you a house to buy or sell your house or whatever. But tell them, yeah, I'll just send them every 2 weeks. And that way you can keep your pulse on the market, kind of an idea, or your finger on the market, keep the pulse, right? So then you have your calls, you're going to follow up with them, because then 3 months later you can call and be like, hey, I've been sending you a bunch of emails. How were those? Are they good or whatever? You've set them up on that email, and then you know their address, so you can send them mailers. You literally set yourself up for success. Now, this is not going to be as fast as if you go and download your whole contact list from your phone and just go upload it in command. But every one of those people will be way better. And then you can even write them a little handwritten thank you, right? Hey, thanks for being willing to grow my real estate business. If you ever hear of anyone, send me. I'm Lays. You're going to think of me. And so you started your marketing like off on the right foot. And so it's not efficient, but it is very effective. And so going crazy with your database, like there's some people in this office. I don't know, Becca Summers, have you guys met her? She started her database with like 50 people. Ashley Jensen is another one. Both of them are on this wall. They closed crazy amounts of business. They probably each made $500,000 last year. Ashley Jensen had less than 100 people in her database and still might only have 100. And so it's not all about quantity, it's about quality and how you treat those people. So the better off that you can be with that, the better. All right, what else? Yeah. Yeah, that's super helpful. And then the way that we do it on our team, you have to call 100% of your SYA. Like that's the rule. If you want leads, you have to be at 80% called for your SYA. If you want an appointment, because we also have inside sales agents that set appointments for you, you have to be at 100% of your SYA. But we don't track SYB or C. Well, we track it, but we don't tell the agents about it. We're not holding them accountable to any of it. We'll still send out emails and mailers and things like that, but we hold them accountable just to A. That's how we. Your quarterly phone calls. If you don't make them, you don't get leads. And that's our carrot and our stick, I guess, all in one swoop. So the other thing, what time is it? Do you guys make phone calls? Have you made phone calls today?
No.
Ooh. See, you guys got lucky. So I used to trick everyone in this class into making phone calls in the middle of the class. But I thought that you made phone calls before, and that's why we're starting at 11 instead of 9, because I used to start at 9 and go to noon, and you're supposed to have calls in between it. I used to do like let's practice the database, and I made you write down 10 names and then like check if you have their email, check if you have their phone number, check if you have their address. But then I'd tell you that you had to call all 10 of those people after you got done writing it, just to really challenge you. But so go and do it. Go just like make your phone calls today. Just decide like you can take however many people you want in your database and divide it by how many days you're going to work this quarter, right? There's 21 working days in a month, so you should work, I don't know, about 60 days this quarter. So if you have 600 people, you got to make 10 calls every single day. If you don't, it's a lot easier. But I would front load that in the week too. Feels real easy on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, make phone calls. Thursday, Friday, not so much usually. But so make the phone calls. If you are struggling for what to say, let me give you some tips. Hi, I just got into real estate. What do you do? Hey, it's been a while. How are you and your family? And then you don't even have to talk about real estate. Like I said, this is all about building relationships, but people are like reciprocal, right? So if you say, oh, hey, what do you do for work? I haven't talked to you in years. Like, what are you working now? You know what the next question they'll ask you? What do you do? Oh, I'm in real estate. And do you know what they're going to say after you say I'm in real estate? You're like, man, that market's crazy, right? What do you think? And then you just have this whole conversation about real estate. It's like you called about real estate, but you didn't bring it up. Super easy. So I always look to give myself an excuse. Some people feel really weird about calling people, right? Younger generation, is it weird to call people? Texting. How about you guys? Is calling weird for you? No. I'm right in that middle line, I guess, where like I used to have 250 texts a month as my limit. Like that was when I started college. I was like, I kept hitting my limit. So I was like, Mom, I need more texts so I can. So I got to the 1,000 plan. Like that's. I'm not in the generation where we just called each other all the time, but I'm also not in the generation where we've only texted all the time. So I'm right in the middle. So it's not so weird. But I like to have the text or the calls because I feel like you can have a better conversation. And if you look at like the pyramid, right, of communication, have you guys seen this? Like the very bottom is probably like a billboard or like a spam message somehow. Like that's probably the worst conversation that you could have. The very best is like if you have like a one-on-one meeting with someone and then maybe like a group setting with someone and then probably a phone call and then a text message and email and a billboard kind of a thing. And so the higher up you can move on the pyramid and like more one-on-one conversations, the better off you're going to be, especially if they're in person. And so a lot of the times I will just give myself an excuse to call people. I feel like I need the excuse more than they do because once you're talking to someone, they're going to be fine with it. So whatever the reason is that you are going to call someone, make it up, right? I will literally drive home on the freeway and call someone that I haven't talked to in a decade and say, hey, are you on I-15 right now? And they'll be like, oh no, I just pulled in my house. Why? Like, oh, I swore I saw you. Swore I saw you. You were just driving next to me, I thought, on I-15. And I'm like, maybe it wasn't you. I haven't seen you in a decade. I don't even know what you look like. Like, let's be friends again. And you know what? I can call them 3 months later and we can have a great conversation because now I broke the ice. Like, that is a real thing that I do all the time. It's a little weirder with girls that I like dated in high school,
Their
but
husbands.
like, are you on I-15? No, I'm at home with all my kids. Oh yeah.
In Oregon.
In Oregon, yeah. But so whatever your excuse is, make those phone calls. And sometimes it's just like, hey, we were such good friends. Like, I don't even know what happened. We stopped being friends as much as we should. Like, I just wanted to reach out to be like, we're good friends. Let's be friends again. And they'll be like, yeah, that's so awesome. Thanks. And then you can be friends again and call them every quarter. A thing to not do though, is do the hollow promises of getting together, you know, like, yeah, totally, let's do lunch. And then you never do lunch, but you end every single conversation with something like that. Yeah, let's hang out. Let's get our families together. And then you never see them. Like, that's not a relationship builder. And so do that. Also, if you get stuck in conversations too long, after making a few phone calls to people, it's okay to say, hey, I'm calling about business. I wouldn't start with that on your very first call. But after you've made a few phone calls, you can say, I'm calling about business. And then you can have like a 2 or 3 minute conversation with that person because it's business and it's okay. So.
Do you guys use PCs or Macs?
PCs or Macs? We are Mac to the core, but some of the agents on our team buy PCs. But I'm all about the Mac because then my watch and my phone and my laptop are all synced up. Synced, and I can text on any of them, so way nicer. Actually, every single person on our team has an iPhone. We have like 30 people, 32 people, and they all have iPhones. You cannot have a text message group with more than 32 people in it because that's the limit of an iPhone, of an iGroup. So if we hire one more person, we have to move to Slack.
Well, there's that to consider.
Yeah.
Or Prune.
Or Prune. Yeah. Prune. Top grading, it's called when you hire. Okay, what other questions do you have?
Maybe I'll give you PC, get another Mac.
Macs are just so nice. It's way better. Okay.
See, the problem is I'm much more used to the systems of different stuff in real estate, and he struggles more. And when he needs help, I don't work on Macs. So I was like, I don't know how to do it on your computer. This is how we do it on mine. So that will always be the same for us.
It's better.
We can't integrate our systems at all. If you want to go on the red sign team,
Yeah.
you'll fit right in.
Come on in, bring your Mac.
Well, but then, you know, like Dean says, oh man, I'm PC all the way. I'll never touch it.
Yeah.
Right too.
Yeah.
Right too.
Dean's Android till he dies.
Yeah, well, I have an iPhone, you know, so I get that it would be nice to sync to my computer and everything, but
Yeah.
everything I have is, you know, with Google.
Okay, what actions are you guys gonna take?
We're gonna go talk to people.
I love it.
I am going to start your program. I don't have a good database. I'm going to get on to Command and I'm going to start my database, start making those phone calls every day and build out my database.
I love it. Command is by far the best tool that you guys have access to for free, right? It's included in being an agent at Keller Williams, so use it. But the very best database is the database that you use.
Yes.
So if you decide I'm going to keep all my notes in my phone on their contact cards and that works for you, great. It is not very efficient, it's not very effective, but if that's the database that you use, or if you want to put it all in a spreadsheet and sort columns and keep notes, whatever, that works great. But Command will be the very best, but if you're not using Command, you have to use something. Have some sort of database that can just keep your mind organized. Sticky notes is probably not a great idea. Go get a Rolodex. Yeah. Yeah. In the old Ignite, they had a video about how disorganized some girl was when she was trying to make calls, and then it showed her in command and she was like all in control. She had a ponytail pulled back when she was doing it rather than the crazy hair. But yeah, so whatever is going to keep you organized and doing it, do it.
I gotta run.
Okay, thanks.
Give me your
Nope, because I don't have any. Sorry.
phone. You can
Take a
pop in and say hi.
pop in, say hi. Yeah, I'm in the very corner over there, in the very top. What other actions are you guys gonna take?
Well, like I already said, I'm in the process of building my business. Continue to do that.
Keep building.
Let people know I'm doing this.
Yeah, it's probably the biggest. Don't be a secret agent, as they call it. Go put it out there, and more than just Facebook. But that wasn't even a part of the 36 touch plan that I think is awesome is social media. Yeah, not everyone's going to see it, but it's just going to
Actually, I have a
emphasize
question
that.
because, you know, it says, direct mail, magnet, calendar, market report, et cetera. It's like, well, when social media work.
Yeah,
I mean, even though it's not being sent directly to them in the mail, I mean, I feel like most people are, well, I guess it would depend, but I just feel like that social media is a good way for you.
yeah, I would.
It's good to meet
Yeah,
you.
good to meet you.
Okay.
Yeah, I would say social media is a great, very soft touch to do. I like the idea if you sprinkle it in on top of what you're already doing rather than make it be the only thing. Yeah. Because then people actually will like enjoy it because it's not like, all he talks about is real estate. So
Yeah, somebody said like a 80-20.
yeah,
Maybe
probably
5 posts, 4 of them are just
4 of them are you and one's, yeah. Yeah, that's probably a great ratio, 5 to 1 real estate. I know I'm so awful at social media that has never been part of my strategy.
Do you not use it at all?
I call it stalkerazzi. So I just look at what people are doing, but I don't ever post myself.
That's how I am.
Yeah.
I'm not posting. So like that's gonna be kind of shameless.
Yeah.
Once I start posting, you know,
Yep.
it's all real estate, but
I just do random like voting polls on my stories, and I do like styles of homes.
Oh yeah.
More like activity stuff, so I get more like engagement. So like I'll do like contemporary versus like farmhouse style, and have like pictures, and then they vote, and then they kind of some of them end up reaching out to me and asking questions.
Yeah, we'll all the time post interesting listings. To be honest, I don't even know the rules about that. Dean would probably have some input with it, but if I were to go grab someone else's listing and post it on my, yeah, ask permission. Yeah, we've done a whole lot of ask forgiveness in the past. So if someone's mad and they're like, hey, you posted my listing, I'm like, I never said it was my listing, so I'm happy to give you all of the credit if you want. You want me to take it down? And most of the time they're like, no. But yeah, permission's probably a good thing for a lot of it, especially this is being recorded. So yes, ask permission. But other than that, yeah, if you like even all work together, kind of an idea, if one of you takes a listing, everyone posts it, and then it makes it seem like you're doing a whole bunch. So you seem like awesome. People are, you're probably crushing it. I see all your listings all the time. And you're like, yeah, send me business because I'm not. Yeah, but then engagement is huge on social media to get that. There's an agent on our team that is like his way to get business. Trevor, I don't know if you guys have met him. He's like 25 or something. Maybe he's only 24. He's like a young guy, and he'll close 20 to 30 transactions a year. A lot of them are first-time home buyers commenting on what he posts on his stories. And so it works. It's part of the 36 touch. I wouldn't put it as your sole focus, but if you're calling them, you're emailing, you're doing everything else and do that on top of it, you're great. Then also be purposeful in your comments, right? Because that can also be another little touch. They post that they have a baby, just even congrats on the bottom, they're going to see that. All this stuff.
That also puts you higher on their algorithm.
Yep. So for a while, I mean, I don't like anything on Facebook or Instagram. Like I won't like or comment or anything. Like it's like I'm not even there. This is my goal. I'll get ads all the time and they're so wrong. They'll be like, let's help you run your plumbing business. I'm like, why do you think I'm a plumber? And then the next day it's like HVAC. And then the next day it's like, you should remodel your home. And I'm like, you don't know anything about me, Facebook. This is awesome. But one time I created my database. I added them all to like a list in Facebook. And every time so I would go to Facebook and I would go to that list and I would just interact with all of the posts that I saw there because I wanted my database to score me higher. And so I would do that, message them, things like that, try to play with the algorithm. But then I'm like, this isn't me. Lasted all. But really, I would say, whatever you do, make it you, right? Like I'm not a great writer, so I'm not going to write a whole bunch of blogs to send out to my database. But if you're a writer, like there's some people that's like their thing. They are like writers. And so they send these awesome articles to their database that their database just eats up because they want to read it. That's not me. I'm not on social media, so that's not my big focus. If you're social media, why don't you make that some of your focus? So. All right, what questions do you have? Real estate or not? I think we'll be done here. Well, I guess keep real estate, but not this. Thanks, Zoomers, unless you have questions. Okay, bye, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.